Good morning. Our hand today is going to be pocket fives. We are in early position. First act, we open raise, and we have one player calls. So our early position play looks something like this. Yeah, for the most part, I'll play that ace four, ace five suited. Come in for a raise. Don't do that under the gun, but early position player, you can do that. Kind of also feel how the table's going. In this spot, I'm not sure if we should really be doing it. We are at a 10 NL game, and it looks like we're playing with quite a few people who tend to play a bit loose, so we're less likely to get folds. So let's take those out of our hand. So you can see all of these 30% VPIPs. We've got 350 hands on him. He's playing 32. This guy's 17 hands, 35%. This is 75 hands, 31%. 32 hands, 31%. 1,000 hands, 31%. So, a part of that ace five, ace four is some fold equity, and kind of mix up some hands. I don't think we're going to have a lot of fold equity with those, so I'm not sure if we should really even include them. So I'm going to drop them out. This villain's I've got 377 hands on him. He's playing 64% of hands. Very low pre-flop raise, very low 3-bet. You could see that a lot of times he just limps in. He does raise. He's raised twice here. Limps usually. Pre-flop, mid-position calls 50%. It looks to be about right, just right around 50% or so. Right around 50% of hands is probably what we're looking at. So that's 50.4% minus the aces. Why aces? Because I have, I've got two hands where he has 3-bet, and both of those hands are aces. So I'm going to assume that he would have 3-bet aces, and that would be about 8. You see, call 2-bets from blind. You see kings in that one. Now we have done a hand with him, so he calls a button 3-bet steal. Call the button 3-bet steal with king 4. So I must have yeah, he must have been in the blind. King 4 off. He was out of position. He check called, check called, check called. He flopped 2 paired, never really raised, so passive. We go to a flop, Jack 10-8. That's not looking good. Let's do that, Jack 10-8. That hits a lot of calling person's range. He's got a lot of these middle cards. He's got a lot of cards, a lot of top cards. And we know that he's going to call down with one pair hands. So we are out of position. I think we go for some straight value. I think that's what we're targeting. I don't even think we really go. We go for some bluffs because I think he will fold. So we're gonna say that. What is his c-bet? Fold to c-bet. You can see when he's in position, 33%. When he's out of position, 81%. So it looks like he does fold, but here I'm gonna say he's calling at least with these pocket pairs. At least to 9-8-8-7. I think pocket pair below the boards. Whoops, that's him. These bottom pairs probably. I'm gonna say maybe no. And you can see that if he doesn't really fold on the turn so much, he does fold on the river, and that's gonna probably be bad. Some bad rivers, or somebody plays big time. So when we look through, we're gonna say flush draw, open ender. He's probably playing gut shots, hoping to catch the straight. Maybe those. We're looking folding 30%. We're not going to be in like a necessarily profit spot, auto profit spot with the bet here. I think this is perfectly fine for a check, quite frankly. And if we look at what hands are we betting, we're going to be betting. We're going to sometimes bet. I think we're going to be sometimes betting. So we're going to say like 10%. Well, yeah, maybe 20% of the time we're going to be betting eights. Maybe about 50% tens. Maybe 50% jacks. Let's not do all those. Let's just say we're going to reserve probably. Yeah, I think we're basically gonna check here. I'm not really seeing any hands that I would like to bet. I think what we would do is use. Let's talk this. Use these for check raises. Use eights, maybe tens as a check raise. We'll use two pair as a check raise. I think we'll use an overpair as a check raise. Ooh, should we use aces? Yeah, we'll use like aces as a check raise. And then I think we're going to use these 9, 8 spades. I should probably turn those. Yeah, this is looking better. I think we're going to be using those as check raises. So everything else I think is going to be a check call or a check fold. And I think we're going to be doing pocket. Well, we're going to have to throw in fives because we have it. Fives are kind of maybe you play, maybe you don't. I think we're going for check raise, or not check raise, check call with everything else. So we've got like open-ended, like a one card open-ender is probably going to be in our check raise. We've got some gut shots in our check raise. Or in our checking range. Yeah, I think we've got our check raising range there. So I don't like this bet at all. Villain calls. So we're gonna call him. We're gonna say that that's what he called. We quickly lost out. I think this is just a board that's too wet. It connects with villain. We're not gonna get enough folds. I think it plays better just as a check with maybe some check raises on here. So how do we do this? Well, I'm gonna convert and say that we will go maybe top pair plus is value, middle pair these as bluffs, and you can see that we are very quickly basically at 100% here. We've got too many hands in our range, and that's a mistake. So jack of clubs. So if we checked and he checks behind, I think we still just kind of go back and check this. I don't think we're going to be betting this. I think our hand, again, we're not going to get a huge number of folds on this. Villain's going to be suspicious that we didn't bet. I mean, we could still bet. But, you know, in this case, with all of our hands, I think we could continue with our quads. So I would say if we were actually playing this and we played with that check, we would bet our quads, we would bet our full house. I think 3 of a kind we would bet. Overpair, now we can start to consider checking it. Maybe we continue with our overpair. Yeah, I think we go for some value with the overpair. Our middle pair, we check. All of those we check. We go for a raise with the flush draw, open ender. Maybe just like that. And then we've got gut shots available down there. So I'm going to say we've got our check. And since we didn't bet, let's go ahead and X these out. So we're going to be something like that. And villain didn't bet, but I don't think that matters. I don't think he's aggressive enough to bet. So let's go to our turn bet, 24%. A 2-bet. I mean, he could. I think we're looking at a pro bet. So I had initiative. We checked. He bets. Yeah, pre-flop, he's definitely passive, but he could bet. So yeah, let's give him some bets. Let's give him some. I do think maybe 3 of a kind bets. I don't know. On this board, he's gonna be spooked. Just seems odd that he's betting here. Play turn draw aggressively. He checks. Maybe he bets. Yeah, I don't know. We'll do it. We'll keep 100% in his range. Queen of Hearts comes out. We could probably bet and represent that queen now. We checked, like do a stop and go. And we could do it with basically all of our hands. So like we do pick up straight, we hit our gut shot. We could have a weak pair, could have top pair that we've improved to. So you can see that we're about 2 to 1. This is probably way too much, but I think what we're doing is trying to represent something. We got scared with the jack, it was checked. We bet with a queen. He might say, you know, I've got 10. I think you've got the queen. I'm just going to fold. But if we think he's just going to call down and be passive, then that's another story. So, you know, he calls river bet 50% of the time. Including all of these will be too much. So, you know, best thing I could say is keep these low pairs, you know, as a check call or as a checking range. Let's get those in something more like this. So we're betting 50-some%, and we're definitely more heavily on some value. So I checked. Villain checks behind. I show 5s. He shows king 6. He had the flush draw, and that's we could add to this. So he call EP 3-bit bet RFI in hijack with king 6 of spades. So he is in position. So he call 50%. Check, check. On a jack of spade, 10 of spades, 8 of diamonds, jack of clubs, queen of hearts. So the idea of betting as a bluff, we're hoping if we bet those hands that we're going to get villain fold these types of hands, like the weak pair. Probably not going to get top pair, but we're hoping like the weak pair type hands are going to go, which I do think he's going to have. We didn't know what he was going to do. I kind of thought maybe he would bet his draws, but like I don't really think quads is going to bet. I don't really think a full house is going to bet, but I do think maybe a straight three of a kind is going to bet. And possibly an overpair now to kind of stop, the draws. But that pair kind of changes things. Once a turn pairs, a lot of people get scared and are now going to be afraid that I have trips, that I slow down. And I think that's why we could probably execute a bluff on the river, because it is so typical for people to slow down once they hit trips and then fire again. I'm not going to run this through GTO because I already looked at a spot like this yesterday. I compared it to a normal player. What do we do versus a normal player? This board is just absolutely horrible for our range compared to villains. We're going to be betting almost never, c-betting almost never. We're going to go for checks almost 100% of the time, but we will have some check raises, and that's why I think we were looking at it. So that seems to be the general play. Now, I haven't looked at a looser player, a looser opponent like this. That's going to be coming up where I do look at it this week. Next up is actually a tighter opponent, like a old man coffee type, who's probably just calling with like pocket pairs, maybe some higher suited connectors, maybe like 10-9 or 9-8 plus. Some strong suited aces, some strong suited broadways, and that's about it. Anyways, hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, look tomorrow for another one.